In a big legal decision clearing the way for election betting, also known as events contracts or prediction markets, Kalshi, which we've had on a few times, which offers the trades, and there are others, had sued the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, arguing it should be allowed to offer the markets on elections as well as other more traditional financial outcomes. And yesterday, the CFTC voluntarily dropped its appeal, and Contessa Brewer joins us now with more. The prediction markets were much better than the polls in the last election.
The theory goes that if you have skin in the game and you have this, wisdom of the crowds, the same way that, CNBC thinks of the wisdom of the markets, that you come up with something that's much more accurate than, say, scientifically based polling. But at any rate, Kalshi has won this hard-fought battle against the agency that regulates it. And I talked to Kalshi's co-founder and CEO, Tariq Mansour, last night. He told me this is a historic day. It's a legal decision that essentially means elections markets or betting is here to stay. Pointed to the 500 million unique visitors to Kalshi's website election night who were looking to see whether Donald Trump would win the election. And I asked Mansour, okay, what's next?
So right now it's all about scaling the team to be able to sustain all that demand that we're seeing and accelerate these partnerships and service them and cater to them really, really well. But yeah, in the next 5 years, I think, I think we're going to start looking at prediction markets the same way people look at stocks as a boring asset class that is not this exciting new thing.
Well, it clears the way for other operators as well. Robinhood, Crypto.com, and others. Interactive Brokers has Forecast Trader, and founder and chairman Thomas Petterfy told me the CFTC has dropped its appeal not only because they think that they'd be unlikely to win, but more importantly, they recognize the importance of prediction markets that always give you the up-to-the-moment consensus on questions asked. In a free market economy, groupthink will be the most important input to economic decision-making. Now, Kalshi CEO and I talked a bit about sports predictions markets, which the CFTC right now is currently weighing. And tribes, state gaming regulators, the American Gaming Association have all expressed concerns. Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association have written to the commission raising red flags about how are you going to protect the integrity of sports? Because right now these predictions platforms are self-certifying. Sport Trade, which is a sports betting prediction market, has gone through this process of licensing through gaming regulators. It operates in New Jersey, Virginia, Colorado, Arizona. And now it's applying to the CFTC to operate in all 50 states and just bypassing the rest of the state regulators. What you would see, there is a lot of interest from the gaming operators in the way this could open up, say, California to them. Because right now, sports betting is not legal in California. But FanDuel and DraftKings don't want to infuriate state regulators where they're licensed and making money by jumping to the CFTC and say, hey, if Kalshi's in on sports betting through the predictions platforms, we want to be in, we want a piece of that action too.
And the leagues are raising questions about this while they've been on board with gambling in other places.
Here's what they're arguing.
Integrity?
They're saying there's this intense framework. We were involved in setting up what does it look like to keep our players from participating in sports gambling and throwing a game, the way that we saw Jonte Porter do.
Right, which is why it's always been such an arm's length distance to any gambling.
Completely.
But they've already started down this path.
But now there's, GeoComply, which is the geofencing and integrity provider, they're looking at all of this. They say, we can do this. We can tell you if someone is gambling on DraftKings from Madison Square Garden during a game.
They know exactly where I am at all times. They're very annoying.
But the American Gaming Association says, look, in most states, you have to be 21 to gamble on sports. The predictions markets are 18 plus. It tramples tribal sovereignty. These tribes that have exclusive contracts with the state to offer gaming, that goes out the window.
But this is all competition, right? This is less about the integrity of the game, and all of these people are raising concerns about competition.
Can you check in with Sean Copain, the wonder kid, 26 years old, that founded Polymarket, who accurately called the election, and the Biden FBI raided his apartment and took all of his devices and his phone. He's never been charged. It was total, they say, it was total retribution for correctly predicting that Trump was going to win.
We'll have to see what happens with that, too, because...
Well, where does it stand right now?
That's a great question.
The allegation is that there were people in the United States betting on it. But remember when it was happening, it was, it's like Elon Musk and his friends and some whales over,
yeah, the question was, could they buy the election?
Right.
If it's not a heavy enough, if it's not a liquid enough market, if there's not.
If someone's going to buy the election, I don't think it's going to be Republicans.
But Brian,
we've seen that movie before.
Brian Contessa, who was the CFTC chairman under Trump 1, nominated, by the way, appointed by Obama, and then has gone to Kalshi's board in the interim, is now renominated to head up the CFTC. So a lot of the opposition that we see...
It was Russ Benham who was opposed to it. We had him on here to talk about some of those things, the Biden CFTC commissioner.
Exactly.
And they were worried about the ability to sway elections if you had some big players that got in with these things.
But I think the integrity questions are real, and it's something the CFTC is going to have to get its arms around.
But it's hard to say that these are integrity questions when so many of the complaints are coming from competitors who are worried about their own franchise.
But NBA is not a competitor. I mean, you know, right?
And some of the others along the way.
And who have spent billions getting licensed, trying to legalize the markets, trying to open it up, and now they are at a competitive disadvantage from upstarts who haven't spent all of that time laying the regulatory groundwork.
I know, it's just the integrity questions. I mean, I had those same integrity questions before we got into sports gambling at all. Once you're on that slippery slope, it's really hard to put the brakes on it.
You're definitely not alone.